frequently we would just, one would stop talking and the other would just pick up. We were so much on each other's wavelength. And we began to realize it after a while. That was a great gift for both of us. And tonight, as a matter of fact, she said a lot of the things that I had written down here that I want to say. So you're going home much earlier. So you have a lot to thank Michelle for. But there was some heresy here tonight. And I'd like to address that a little bit. Michelle talked about it, actually. When we started out, Marty said, "Thank you for letting us be involved in the work of the center." That's not the story. And Kate said, "Creating the center." And that's not really true. Let me tell you what happened. Brief history, and I won't go over 5 minutes. During the late 80s and early 90s, people were making the spiritual exercises in Kansas City at Rockhurst University, Rockhurst High School, St. Francis Xavier Church, Guardian Angel Church, and probably other places. Those people got together. They were all lay people. Well, Jack Callahan was mixed in with them a little bit, and Bill LaCroix. But those people, after a while, said, you know, why don't we have an organized program here? And so they got a hold of the Jesuit Provincial and said, why aren't you organizing this? And the Provincial was Frank Reel. And if there's anything Frank Reel doesn't like to be accused of, is being disorganized. He's got a fetish on it. And so he came back to St. Louis. He knew I was retiring from my job at St. Louis U. And he said, what do you want to do? And I had one thing in mind that I really wanted to do. And he gave me 3 more to think about. He said, now, you think all those over and then come and talk to me about it and tell me where they all rank. So I went through them. This was last. And they said, well, I'll think about that. He says, you know, I think last is really best. Jesuits operate that way sometimes. But when I came up here, what did I find? I found a bunch of people who had made the exercises, had a book club and were studying spirituality, had approached the Provincial to start a center, and invited 2 people up from St. Louis, Joan and Jim Felling, to advise them on how they might start a center. And I had worked in the program that Joan and Jim Felling founded. Who were some of those people that invited them up here? Jim Maloney, Dick and Daffy Shaw, Joe Cirincione, Jerry Miller. I think Callahan might have been involved, was he? And there are others, and I apologize for that. But these people had this workshop. And so the first time I come up here to organize something theoretically, they're already having a workshop on how to do this, talking to 2 of the best people in the country. So I didn't found the center. I coordinated some things. And what resources did I have? I had a very generous stipend from the Provincial. I had a community to live in. I had Rockhurst University and its president, Rockhurst High School and its president, the pastor of St. Francis Xavier, and the pastor of Guardian Angels said, if there's any way in which we could help you, and Father Pesce even offered money, which is kind of remarkable. I never took it, I'm sorry. But, so, you people started this thing. I helped you get better organized. And when you really got organized is when I stepped down from the job and Joe Cirincione took over. And then you got incorporated, you got bylaws and so forth. And then Kate took over and she really put our nose to the grindstone with all the charts and everything that she has and what we were doing. And what's that page you call? Dashboard. The dashboard. Every little thing is counted, but it's good for us. She finally got us a 501c3, which was hard. It took 2 years to do that. Okay, now just a little history to recognize some of the people here. The first year we had an organized, coordinated program. There were 9 people in it. 9 people made the exercises. Most of them came from Rockhurst here and some from St. Francis Xavier. Jim Maloney was a guide, Father Luke Byrne was a guide, Marie Picard was our first mentoree, Jody Stockwell started out in it, Father Dirk Dunphy, Mark Dawes, he was then Father Mark Dawes, Tom Norman from Rockhurst High School, Michelle Hafley, and myself. The second year, we had 20 people. Where did those 20 people come from? Well, somehow we got the word out to St. Peter's Parish, and they started sending quite a few people here. But the other people, those other 9 people, had talked to their friends. And then we ended up, we had 20. And we had more Jesuits and lay people as guides. Father Glenn Miller, Father Bill LaCroix, Jerry Miller, Joe Cirincione, Connie Graney at Rockhurst High School, and Father Jack Callahan. In that second-year class, there were some real troublemakers. There was Peg Neal, you all know that. There was Talkie Tom Daly. There was Jackie Kelly. There was Gene Workus, Jim and Nancy Kakamo, Jeannie Langdon, and a very fond and happy memory, the incredible Mary Leibman. One brief story about Mary, and then I'll shut up. Mary made it her own responsibility to go to almost every event, make sure everything was set up, and to bring refreshments. And then I would try to pay her for those. I'm not sure she ever accepted payment. And I said, Mary, how can you afford this? She says, oh, it's no problem. I'm able to get that stuff. And what's that program they have downtown for homeless people?
Morning Glory?
No, the other one.
Project Rescue.
Huh?
Project Rescue. No.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Okay. Well, it was one of those programs. He says, I take care of all that stuff for them, and they've always got stuff that's going stale. I'm deeply appreciative for all of this. And you've got a great thing going. I just encourage you to stay with it. And as Michelle kind of said, trust the Lord. The Lord wants this to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen well. Thank you very much.